Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill 2021. This bill seeks to further implement Section 42 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, and other matters connected therewith. It also seeks to provide certain provisions on the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, and the Protocol to the African Charter and Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa and other matters connected therewith. This bill was read for the first time on this floor on Tuesday, the 26th of November, 2019. The bill will provide a legal basis and foundation for realization of the goal of Section 42 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Similarly, it will allow for the domestication of the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, as well as the Protocol for the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa. This bill will provide a legal basis and foundation upon which there will be formal, structured, and institutional responses to prevent discrimination and provide for the rights of men and women, the equality of all persons, and opportunities available to all citizens, including people living with disability in Nigeria. The bill, when enacted, will provide for the prohibition of discrimination against both women and people living with disability, while also ensuring the equality of opportunities of every person. The bill shall ensure the full development and advancement of all persons for the purpose of guaranteeing them the exercise and enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms, reinforcing Nigeria's constitutional legal framework for non-discrimination of a person as a right for its people. The bill will support agencies and stakeholders to recognize and respond to modification of sociocultural practices, ensuring the rights of widowers are recognized and protected, while also providing guidance towards eliminating gender stereotypes, prejudices, and emphasizing the promotion of equality of all Nigerians to access opportunities that enhance their dignity and well-being. The bill, when enacted, will also encourage women to aspire and attain their full potentials, considering the fact that there are real and nuanced forms of discrimination against women, limiting their entry and growth in most formal spheres of work. The bill therefore seeks to avail equal opportunities of career choices, growth and promotion, job security, as well as equal treatment in work value, especially as it relates to women's rights to paid maternity leave. This bill, when enacted, will assist in dislodging some of the barriers to women's equal access to all forms of financial credit, technical assistance, family benefits, and other aspects of cultural life. The bill will also consolidate government and community protection and zero tolerance for violence in any circumstance, while promoting peace and harmony in homes where all its members are guaranteed equal access and treatment against discrimination, particularly for the girl child, to access education, women participating and contributing to governance and public life, uninhibited by customary laws, all forms of sexual and gender-based violations as they seek to access education and decent life conditions. Mr. President, distinguished senators, you will find this bill beneficial for the clear and constructive ways the bill seeks to address several forms of issues bedeviling men and women in their constituencies in issues of land ownership, inheritance, education, employment, and rising tide of sexual and gender-based violence in private and public spaces of institutions of learning. The bill further consolidates Senate's courageous passage of the bill on sexual violence in higher institutions in Nigeria, assuring girls, women, and men protection from abuse and exploitation in our schools. The concerns and views related to text of the previous Gender and Equal Opportunity Bill have been largely addressed through deep sectoral consultations with faith and cultural institutions and leaders, youth, the media, and women groups across Nigeria. Let me say, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that we have consulted far and wide before we brought it back for second reading. In fact, yesterday, I was opportune to be at the Sultan's outreach to all faith-based clerics on the bill, and they passed a vote of confidence on the bill. Responses and proposals harvested have been incorporated into the text of this new bill, Gender and Equal Opportunity Bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am very grateful for the opportunity given to me to lead this debate on this bill. I want to believe that every distinguished senator wants progress, growth, stable and sustainable development for every Nigerian, especially the girl child, women, and for every Nigerian who will benefit when this bill is passed. Mr. President, the passage of this bill will also add another feather to the nest of the 9th Senate.
I represent Taraba Central. First of all, let me say this bill is well written. And I could remember in the 8th Assembly it was debated in this chamber. However, from an Islamic perspective, which is a socio-cultural practice of Muslims.
Distinguished, I can't hear you. Is your mic working?
As Muslims, socio-cultural practice is the practice of our religion. And therefore, this aspect of it, by equating opportunities, actually infringes with the provisions of the Quran.
Wamako, Central North Central District of State. Mr. President, I stand to support fully the submission of the last speaker, Senator Yesu Abakar or Taraba, that some provision of this bill competes with the faith in Islam. When it comes to the cultural practice, which is part of religion, is part of our social aspect. And in the Senate, this bill was debated, but if the topic of equity was okay, but equality is no. Because you don't just meet in the broadly lighted amend the value plan or change the value plan, which is our book of faith. So for that reason, I don't support the second reading of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
I want to say that our humanity endows us with rights and liberties which by law and international conventions are inalienable, irrespective of our race and our gender. History, however, is replete, Mr. President, with cases of denial and restriction of such rights and liberties to the extent that persons or groups that enjoy privileges and benefit of advantage ascribe to themselves powers to determine the liberties of others to the extent of subscribing such liberties. Women have been at the receiving end of being excluded or even suffer denial of rights and liberties. Distinguished colleagues, the struggle of all humans to enjoy inalienable rights have always emerged victorious over dominating forces over time. For me, women are not only entitled to equal opportunities, it's not equality, but equal opportunities, but must be in fact and in practice. Moreover, being a woman is not being less human. neither is femininity inferiority. I therefore want to canvass very strongly that we support the passage of this bill so that the rights, liberties, and opportunities will not just be for males, but for females, so that every woman, every lady, every mother, every daughter, and every sister will not only be entitled, but will actually enjoy these rights that are inalienable.
God created us the same, both male and female. The issue of gender, when it has to do with opportunities, women are always pushed to the side. And we all know that when a woman is given a position of authority to serve, there's always peace. And this transcends through the family, through the society, and the government. My colleague that argued on the issue of equal, the use of the word equal to be removed, I don't think that gives a problem. If we want to look into the definition of the word equal, it's a person or thing that is the same as another in status or quality. If God created us equal, there is nothing wrong with the use of that word. And therefore, the objectives of this bill are stated. They are very apt and should be accepted by us.
There's nothing wrong in representing a bill. But we must be very, very careful. This grandstanding, playing to the gallery, will not pay. I didn't want to make an intervention in the beginning because I believe very strongly that with the advice I discussed with the distinguished Senator Yusuf, that we may be doing ourselves a lot of justice and doing the country for whom we're making these laws a lot of justice if we do some further consultation to take care of those sensitive issues, those emotional issues that would seem to bother some members of this chamber and the outer population of our great country that we're making these laws for. I see nothing wrong in the advice that we are human. This idea of it has to happen or the world will collapse is a fallacy. This country belongs to all of us, male and women. So it will pay a lot of dividend if we concede some ground to one another, to listen better to one another, and seek further advice because of the intricacies of what the bill may entail if we pass it in the form in which it is. It is easy to say, oh, let's go to public hearing. By the time we public hearing, we had this experience sometimes, again, the Senate. They will go and mobilize, all sorts of people in the name of being Nigerians to come there and take the day. Again, grandstanding. Again, playing to the galleries. So I would advise, most sincerely and in my honor, that it will pay us greater dividend, that we seek some advice. All right? This 9th Senate will not end until 2023. What is the hurry? Let us also ponder for a while. There are things happening here we ignore at the peril of our reputation. Yes, you can have a simple majority, but a bill as fundamental as this one requires, a fuller representation in the Senate. By the time we pass it, Nigeria is speaking here. So let us be very careful, please, let's have some little room for our, our neighbors, so that we don't vote or take a decision on the basis of this sentiment of the moment.
Lawmaking is a process. It takes a very long process for law to get matured and then for it to become an act of parliament. This is just one step out of the lot. This is second reading. And since the sponsor of the bill has obliged to amend, and that she has submitted, and is recorded, that instead of saying gender and equal opportunities bill, she has amended it to read gender equity bill. I think when it comes back, by His grace, this particular bill will be subjected to public scrutiny, and heavyweight from both sides will come and talk about it. And Yusuf talked about the Islamic religion and also the Christian religion. I am not an expert either in the Christian religion or in the Islamic religion, but those experts will be there for the public hearing. Any law that is enacted by Parliament must be implemented. If it becomes difficult for the law to be implemented, then whatever we are doing here will be in vain. Or whatever we have done here will amount to nothing. And therefore, it is better to carry everybody along. I think that is the essence of this public hearing. So where we are now, in my humble view, for me, I want to support the submission of Senator Ajibola for the bill not to be killed this time around, at this stage, for the bill to pass through this second reading. And when it has gone through public hearing, and if it comes here, we will look at it. And if the details are not in consonance with the title, then we will delete all those areas, will be removed. So that the bill itself, when it eventually becomes an act of parliament, can be implemented nationwide. For me, already there is section 42 of the Constitution talking about non-discrimination. But we live in a society where between man and woman, from the very beginning in the history of the world, God created these two genders, man and woman. But there have been problems between man and woman ever since the creation of the world. I'm very surprised because we make up the sensitive people in the society, in the world. But looking at the society itself, it's very clear that in spite of the fact that there is section 42, which is the ground law, talking about non-discrimination, but this discrimination exists. At home, in your workplace, everywhere, discrimination exists. So if this will address it, if it will not offend religious beliefs, so be it. So, Mr. President, I want to urge that we allow this bill to pass through the second reading, unlike what it happened the last time when it was killed at this stage. By so doing, then we will have moved one step forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
To really thank Mr. President today, because this is my third time in the Senate. And I believe since the 7th Assembly, we've gone this road before. And it's like going around in circle for a long time. But this is the first time I will see that at least some of my colleagues that have spoken today, they were part of it in the 7th Assembly when I came in. Maybe it's been debated before I came in. I don't know. But since I've been here, we've been this road, we've tread this road for too long. But this is the first time I will actually see my colleagues who are interested, that they are interested in this bill. They realize that they have daughters, they have wives, they have mothers, and who would not really want the best for our children. So I want to really thank our colleagues today for debating and wanting to dialogue. Because I believe if we dialogue rightly, we will get to where we are going. And I believe that this is the time and day that this bill will see the light of the day. And it started with the mover of this bill saying that, the sponsor of this bill, saying that she's changing the topic
the title of the bill to be gender equity. And to me, that is where I've always wanted to support, that we have to be accountable. But if we go back and really rejig this bill and work it the way it's supposed to be worked, so that for coming generations, we are now elderly people in society. And with things happening around us day and night, we don't even know what happens to our children. Even the boys are being abused, the young girls are being abused. But this is the time that we can look at the way we can get, justice for the vulnerable. And
So what are you now suggesting?
What I'm suggesting that we want to look at it in details. We want to rework whatever that needed to go through. Yes. We are ready to dialogue. That's what I said. We are ready to dialogue, but this is the time and age that this bill has to come to light.